got 5 kids to please.
Hello, and welcome to a CF3 Partycast for Blair Witch Project, 1999. I'm Dane Michael.
I'm so scared.
And I'm scared, and I'm cold. I might be lost. But we're not alone. That's the one thing, Dames. We're not alone. We have lots of people here with us who are equally as lost. And we're going to bring them in one by one, starting with first time on the video Partycast, but he did some of our audio Partycasts, and I remember in particular Demolition Man. He had a great time. Please welcome from Munson's at the Movies, a show that you and I have both guested on, Dames, Mr. Kyle Munson. Just kidding, it's Hickman, but also Munson.
You guys look like it's dark over there and you're lost. It's very weird.
Should get you found?
Yeah, I got found hours ago. So I'm good. But I'll try to help.
Placed in a sterile apartment.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. A lot of lighting here.
Okay. Who else is along on this journey with us?
Hello.
Hi, Jessica Hotman from Giveth, the genre-spanning rock band, I would say, who just released their album, and also star of Roseblood, Friday the 13th fan film that's coming out very soon, premiering next month, right?
That is correct. November 28th.
Okay, awesome. Welcome back. I think the last one you did was The Lost Boys.
Yes, that was the last one.
Okay.
Excited to be back.
Okay, next we've got making a second appearance on the Partycast from Lunar Harpoon, and I believe it's the Toy Box because he always goes up and auctions toys every Wednesday, I think it is. Gobo Moran.
All
Welcome,
right.
Gobo.
I mean, we're definitely 90 minutes tops away from the car at this point, boys.
90 minutes, but should we actually like make an effort to get to it, or should we just argue about how far?
I think we should spend at least 45 of those just fighting about our position.
I think we should camp because it's going to get dark soon.
Yeah, it's going to get dark in 3 hours, and we want to have the tent set up by then.
Right.
Don't we, Melissa Jo Murphy?
Whoa, Mojo.
Hi.
You also don't look very lost. You're in a very well lit room.
Yeah, I'm slime though. Like I've got some ooze on my face.
You've been slimed.
Oh,
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
I was gonna be the woods and gaffer tape some branches on me, but then that didn't sound appealing after a while. So I was like, I'll just throw some slime on my face. Slime.
What are you drinking there?
Slime?
Yellow slime.
Yellow
Jessica,
slime?
I saw you were drinking something too.
This is a whiskey and cherry Coke. That has nothing to do with the film, but it sure is tasty. I'll tell you what.
Kyle, what are you drinking there?
This is a Haze for Horses from the Oswego Brewing Company out of Illinois.
Okay, well, I have a Miller High Life just because that's what I had in the fridge. Because that's the kind of drinker I am. But also, these people out in the woods are like down-home folk that wear like flannel and camo. So I think they would have appreciated a Miller High Life.
How bougie of you to bring the champagne of beers with you on a woodsman trip. Very interesting.
Gobo, are you drinking anything? I forgot to ask.
I am, yes. I got vodka cranberry out of a tin camping cup.
Nice. Beautiful. I love it. Okay, we're bringing in John Cohorn from Modern Horrors, and he is drinking a lot, actually. He's very well sauced.
Scotch. It's not scotch, but it's the closest thing I had. And I'm going to be drinking it from the bottle, just like they were in that shitty hotel room. Not quite a shitty hotel room, but it'll do.
Okay. Really excited about our next guest here. He lost a few elections, but that's not going to stop him from partying on this cast. Please welcome Mr. Bernie Sanders.
I'm once again asking you to support the small documentary makers with a $27 donation. Forget the billionaire horror movie mill filmmakers. Yes, it's me. By the way.
Oh my God, it's actually
Oh my God.
Annalise Lush making her debut on CF3. Wow, welcome. That is a beautiful new apartment.
And I'm drinking out of my Hobgoblin Witch cauldron from my many years ago working in the beer industry, and I've got a Hubbard's Cave Me Love to Eat Oreo cookie.
That cauldron is fucking righteous.
Right?
We've already brought you people more witches than the Blair Witch Project did. Last, certainly not least, at all, his film The Scout just premiered at LA Scream Fest to rave reviews. Please welcome Mr. Michael Palio. Mike, how was making a found footage movie? Was it the first one you've ever made?
No, but it was the first one that screened in the Chinese theater in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun making a found footage movie because I got to abuse my friends. So
It's half the fun.
that's half the fun.
That's half the fun of making any movie, isn't
And
it?
central to
Very
the found footage genre too.
Very true.
Yes. Okay, so I forgot to ask if you're drinking anything, sir.
I have been drinking water because when you're hiking in the woods, a necessity for staying hydrated and alert and safe is water. And I think it keeps witches away. Didn't Dorothy pour water on a witch and she
That's true.
Oh, good point.
That is
although
point.
this water tastes a lot like vodka.
It's magic water.
It's the special water.
I thought the resist thing was going to be a Blair Witch shirt. Okay, guys, we're all clearly lost, and we have been for days. Does anybody know which way to the men's restroom?
It's the woods. You just piss wherever.
Big ol' hole.
Raise your hand, actually, if you saw the Blair Witch Project in the theater back in 1999.
I can't remember. I think I did.
Oh yeah.
So Kyle, the moviegoer, this is surprising because Kyle's a moviegoer. Sometimes he sees 200 movies in a theater per year.
I was
Didn't
11. What do you want from me? I had other things on my mind. I was probably going to see Lou Diamond and Bats in theaters. I wasn't seeing Blair Witch Project. Not great choices at 11.
Bats has been discussed as a CF3 episode before, just so you know.
Count me in.
And Jessica, I'm assuming you have a song called 1992. I'm assuming that's when you were born.
That's the year I was born. So
you're probably 7 when this
I was
came
not
out.
quite old enough to get to the theater. I mean, even if I wanted to, my parents would.
So that leaves the only adult at the time that didn't see this in the theater. Annalise, why didn't you go see Blair
In
Witch?
1999, I was working at KETV doing rails of coke at Polly's bathroom, Polly's bar bathroom, the old Polly's on Leavenworth and 42nd. So yeah, that's what I was doing in 1999.
It's a good excuse.
For owning
I
that.
accept it.
Entire year?
The whole summer?
Didn't take 90 minutes to watch a movie.
Only when it was screening. That's it.
Were you guys disappointed when you came out of your screening?
I wasn't disappointed. I was pissed. For years afterwards, I told people that I left that theater looking like I had just walked into someone else's fart.
Mike, I'm interested to hear what you thought of it.
Well, I had seen it. I had gotten a screener from a friend of mine who had something to do with the movie, and I got 6 months prior to the movie even coming out, I got a VHS tape in the mail, and it just said "Watch Me." So I popped it in, and I was watching it, and I was like, "What is this?" And he called me. He's like, "Did you get my videotape?" I was like, "Yeah, what is this?" He goes, "It's a movie I'm working on. It looks like a snuff film, but it's really not." Okay, so I continued watching it, and a cousin of mine came over, and older cousin, second cousin, and she sat there with me, like riveted, and thinking that this was real. I didn't let her know that it wasn't real, and she was like, "Oh my god, what happened to these kids? Those poor kids." And I was like, "Yeah, Shar, this is all bullshit. This is a movie." And she was like, "Oh my god, thank God." Then it came out, and she took her and a bunch of her friends from work, went and saw it, and I got a phone call after the movie let out, and she was like, "What happened to those kids? Oh my god, those kids!" Like, Shar, you saw this like 6 months ago. It's still fake, but the marketing was so brilliant that she bought it. She bought into it again.
I mean, the marketing was half this movie. I mean,
that's what I loved about it. I love.
I don't know.
So
I don't know how many people here have seen that. They released the documentary, "The Curse of the Blair Witch," like at the same time, and I think it was even like available on TV. Like you could watch it as a TV special.
They played it on the Sci-Fi Network.
But like it was produced to make it look like everything was authentic, and they showed like fake file footage from like the 60s of things that had been happening and people that were in prison, and it was very well done, I think, even today. John, did that help warm you up to it at all?
So they played that on the Sci-Fi Network before the movie actually came out. So the movie had screened in festivals, but it hadn't opened, even in like a limited rollout by the time that played. So at the time they had that special, and then they also had what I will admit was a brilliant website for the film. It was just one of those like early internet rabbit holes that you could completely fall down, and the next thing you know, you've spent hours like researching the mythology behind the movie. And so I was primed to like this. But this was before assigned seating in movie theaters and online ticket sales and stuff like that. So my wife at the time, she and I went and stood in line like 2 hours at this tiny little arts theater near the university here in Austin to go see it the Friday night it opened. And what I got was an episode of The Real World with a coat of Halloween paint on it where they didn't bleep the word fuck. So I love the idea behind it. I love the mythology that they created. I should have been the target audience for this movie, but the movie itself falls flat for me. I didn't have the same visceral reaction watching it for this podcast that I did on my first viewing, but it still just didn't fully land for me.
What could they have changed up to make you like it more?
That's hard to say. I will just throw out kind of a controversial opinion here. I think the best Blair Witch movie is the one that Simon Barrett and Adam Wingard made about 5 years ago.
Okay, I haven't seen that one, but they do have the benefit of the other one having existed. So there's that.
You mean you didn't like part 2?
I watched it again this week, and no, sir, I did not like it.
No, nobody liked that movie.
Now,
Mojo, did you like Blair Witch when you first saw it in the theater? You're on record, and you're lost.
Okay, now?
Taco.
Yes?
Taco.
Okay. Taco.
Are you there?
I'm here. Stop doing that.
Mojo?
Mojo.
Just go ahead. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, stop fucking with me. I can't handle this.
Somebody just went to yelling Josh.
Did you hear that?
No, okay. I was really young, like super young. So I think almost I was more of the target audience because I was able to like freak out with my friends and be like, oh my God, frenzy, like this could be really real. And going down that rabbit hole and getting really just into it and juiced up even after seeing it and kind of knowing like it's not real, but then you get into the whole could parts of it be blah blah blah. Rewatching it, it's not nearly as exciting at all, and a little bit of a letdown. But there's a lot of really nice parts to it. I think the acting's decently well done overall. It just isn't fun without all of the theater and without being able to believe it. Which, you know, when I was like 14, I could believe that. So,
Yeah. So Jessica, how old were you when you finally saw it?
I actually watched it for the first time yesterday. I'm fresh.
Oh,
Fresh
awesome.
in here. Yeah, I remember like when I was really young, I remember seeing things about the Blair Witch Project and just being like, that seems scary. That seems, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I actually just watched it for the first time yesterday. I gotta say, I actually really was impressed by this movie. And I don't know what necessarily it was, but it was still really believable for me in some sense. I think that it's a little dizzying. That's something that I really noticed is I was like, okay, like everything is just like this the whole time. But there's an element of that that makes it very real and very, you're just kind of waiting. Like I didn't know. I was like, am I going to see anything? Am I not? You know, what's going to happen? So I felt like I was on the edge of my seat. And I think that what is really amazing about this film is the fact that there's, you know, being a musician, it's like there's no movie score. There's no crazy effects. There's not a lot of blood. There's like that one little like bloody tooth and some hair. And you still have a pretty terrifying movie. So I think that there's something to be said for that. Just the unknown, the suspense, the sort of being possibly stuck in some kind of time loop and stuck out in the woods. Like there's something very doomy about it that's really creepy and almost feels like a bad dream to me. So that's kind of what I enjoyed about the film. But I can see where some of it does fall flat and feels a little, I don't know, a little crazy at times, a little rickety.
So there was no
so
soundtrack, or there was no score to the movie, but there
Right.
was a companion CD that they put out that was supposedly like a mix CD that one of the characters had in their car when it was found. That, if I remember correctly, was like Skinny Puppy and KMFDM and a bunch of like 90s industrial bands.
Nice.
A bunch of bands that wanted money off of this.
Should have been all Calliope music.
So I'm going to ask you this question, Gobo, and I'm just going to let you know that I muted you because we were getting echo.
Oh, sorry about that.
And so when I muted you, it was like good. But I'm going to ask you a question now, so definitely.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no worries.
The first time you saw it, you said you saw it in the theater.
I did.
Were you a young buck?
I was 13, and I was definitely part of that like middle school like edgelord like wannabe skater crowd, and so I remember like going on the Blair Witch website like at the computer lab at school, and me and all my friends were like, oh my god, this is super real, and like just watching it, I believed it was real the whole time I was watching it, and then finally at the end credits where they say like, oh, this is a work of fiction, I just remember being crushed, and I probably had that same look on my face coming out of the theater, and just like it broke my little intense heart for sure. But now watching it subjectively as an adult, I really kind of appreciate it. I think it was really kind of a brave way to go about it, you know, because they hadn't really made a major market found footage movie in that entire decade. So I mean, I definitely enjoyed it more as an adult. But when I was in middle school, I was pretty let down. I wanted to see that witch.
Yes, that's one thing that. But like Jessica said, it was all authentic. Like they did not waver from they did not do anything that like would seem out of the ordinary to film. There was no like even in like later movies, Paranormal Activity, for example, you've got like ghost shit happening at the end.
That's what I love about this movie, because I don't know if any of you guys have done this, but I've been on actual ghost hunts before where I've gone to haunted locations and nothing ever happens. So this is kind of like, I mean, it adds on authenticity. They were getting fucked with, but they didn't show it. They couldn't see it. It was just like, you know, I've heard weird noises in haunted places before, and like we were out in what's that woods out there? Dane?
Wet woods.
The woods that we went and filmed out in. It's here in Omaha. Come on.
Hummel
Oh,
Park.
Hummel Park.
Yeah,
Hummel
yeah.
Park.
We heard noises.
We did.
But I
We
mean,
fucking ran into somebody's car and
ran.
took off.
we ran.
But we found our car. We didn't fuck around.
You're like, not
I mean,
today, Satan.
seeing people getting messed with and then not being able to explain it. That made it awesome to me. The only thing that I thought was weird was like they were out there like 5 days and they only showed them eat one thing. Does anybody know what that was?
The leaf?
The dry leaf.
Oh,
Sausage.
the Vienna sausage.
Yeah,
yes.
the sausages. And when they
No
were-
wonder they were
he
so
had a
fucking
bag
angry
of-
the whole time.
Yeah, he had a bag of Utz chips and a beer in the hotel room.
Speaking
Did
of
Utz
us,
Chips have a sponsorship in this, or is there some connection there?
They
I
should.
don't know if they did or not, but we have a sponsorship with Utz, so we need to take a sponsor break real quick. If you're gonna get your ass lost in a bag of Utz. Utz Chips. Nummy. Thank you. Thank you for weathering that. Kyle, when you first saw it, since you were 11, you couldn't go to the theater. How old were you?
Probably 13, something like that. 12 or 13. That's when I first saw it.
So you probably hadn't seen another found footage movie before this. Okay.
No, not at all. That, by the way, your Utz moment felt like a Bo Burnham Hot Cheetos moment. I thought we were going into one of those. It was fun to rewatch. I got really fascinated with the Rustin Parr House because I lived in Maryland for a year and I used to hike at Patapsco State Park. And now I'm angry that I didn't go to. I know they knocked down the Griggs house in like 2000 or whatever it was, so it's been gone for a while. But I was just angry I didn't get a chance to go see the house because it kind of reminded me of my Whipstaff Manor moment. Does anybody remember what movie Whipstaff Manor is from?
Casper?
Yes. So I was in Friendship, Maine on the road, and I was like, oh shit, Casper was filmed here. I'm gonna go check out Whipstaff Manor. And that's when I learned that Whipstaff Manor was just a set, and I was heartbroken. So now I kind of feel like that with the Griggs house. I used to hike there all the time. I could have went over there and checked it out. But
We were driving up the coast of Maine last year, and they only briefly filmed like an actual town in Maine that doubled as Friendship or whatever. Just a few establishing shots.
Listen, don't break my heart any further than it already is. I didn't come here for that.
All right, we got a question of the day. Y'all ready for this?
Hell yeah.
The year is 1998, and you are filming the Blair Witch Project on a micro budget. The one thing you are sure to add is Mike
Money.
Calio.
Money.
Okay.
No,
But-
I would add a witch, even if it's just a glimpse of a hand or something. Not a guy peeing in the corner.
Okay. Fair. Annalise.
I concur. I mean, you didn't ask me how old I was when I saw it, so I'll just say I don't remember, but I know it was in the early 2000s, post all my binging on
fucking
drugs
Coke.
and alcohol. But I remember being very let down because I'm of a certain age, much older than most of you, I'm sure. But like my first like scary movie was Poltergeist. Like it was a being, but you actually kind of saw something. So that was big letdown for me. I was like waiting for something not necessarily tangible, but a visual of her. But and forgive me your name, Miss 1992. Jessica. I agree, like that whole the element of just like the things happening around them. Also, like when I rewatched it last night because I really needed a refresher, I think the only thing I remembered was the standing in the corner and her flashlight scene. But yeah, like the fact that like there isn't actually anything that you're seeing that's like the quote unquote danger.
Okay. Murph. Question. goes to you.
Okay. I probably wouldn't add the witch in only because it went with their marketing. you know, like when you have ghost stories and found footage, you usually don't get to see anything. And if you're trying to make people believe that it's real, it's almost more realistic to not see anything. However, the fact that they give away like this shit isn't real at the very end, then it's like that extra letdown, like whatever. So maybe I wouldn't add the witch. I don't know. I'm not completely upset that the witch isn't in it because that wasn't what that movie was supposed to be. Being that way, I think. But
I've never watched through to the end of the end credits, by the way. So I think that's bullshit that they give it away like that.
it is in that set, especially because of how they filmed it and the fact that they didn't show the witch, which just made it in your mind like, this is real found footage, guys. This is gonna be so cool. We can all go to the house and we're all gonna find the witch and figure things out and solve this mystery like Scooby-Doo. I don't know what I thought. It seemed like a good idea maybe in my head at the time until you get let down. But that part should have been taken out. You should have just left people going crazy and trying to figure out, is it real, is it fake? But I don't know.
I wonder if the legal team had anything to do with that.
I would add.
You don't have to add anything. It made a lot of money.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what I would add. Like, there's a lot of things that I want from a typical like horror movie. Usually I like a lot more blood. But again, I think this works for what they were going for, what they did.
Kyle, add something.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking outside the box here. What they should have done with a little extra fundage is get a mental health counselor on site for Heather, because that girl took the abuse of the century from those two. And I read that she was even abused more by the other guy, and they were like, all right, we can't have her just getting destroyed on set. So that's what they needed, some mental health support for her, because she retired from acting like a few years later. That poor girl.
Could she even talk? The amount of screaming that she did was almost, and I know, like, scream queens, I get it, but I was like, my voice would be gone. It would just be stripped. There's no way I could do that.
She needed Shelley Duvall's counselor from The Shining, probably.
She's growing weed today. I think she's probably doing all right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, she went right into weed growing.
Speaking of, have the other actors gone on to do anything?
Yeah.
Josh Leonard has acted. I don't think Michael has very much.
Joshua Leonard's directing that too. He just made a movie that came out, I believe, in the beginning of this year, or the end of last year. But
John Cohorn, what would you add to Blair Witch in 1998?
Okay, so everybody's already said The Witch. That's the number one survey says answer at the top of the board. I have kind of another answer there, and then a snarky answer too. So what I would add, with Witch being taken off the table, would be a little bit better either camera or equipment or grading between the different footage, because going back and rewatching it, I think one of the things that distracted me the most from the story that was trying to be told was the drastic difference between like the high 8 video camera footage switching over to the 16 millimeter, especially when the high 8 footage was in motion. It looked like shit. And watching that on a big screen, especially, it becomes even more distracting. But rather than adding anything, if I could do anything, what I would probably do is take something away. And what I would take away would be the dependence in the marketing campaign of that quote that we all probably know by heart, where it was talking about scarier than The Exorcist. Scarier than The Exorcist. I can't count how many times we heard that on commercials or movie review programs or saw it on posters or whatever. And I think that kind of hype did the movie a disservice, because I feel like I went in expecting something a lot scarier than what we actually got.
Wow, it subliminally made you hate this movie.
Gobo.
I get it. I wouldn't have said that either. I totally get that.
Gobo, are you out there?
I'm here. Yeah, can you hear me?
Taco.
Yep.
Taco.
Yep. Are you near the car?
That's right. Can you hear me, guys? Hello?
Are you near the
Yeah.
car? Go, Bo. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. All right. Yeah. Sorry. I was on mute. I don't know. So
See, I'm not the only one. Okay, stop doing that.
Okay. See, don't give in to Project Nerd's cruelty. All right. I hate to be basic, but I think that just like maybe one like cursory glance at the witch, I think would have probably satisfied me a lot more the time that I saw it. And it's funny because we kind of got that in the remake that that Dane hasn't seen, where we got like a really quick glimpse like towards the end of the movie. And I really liked that movie as well. So I think that they talked about, they shot a scene where Heather's running out of the tent and she's like, "Oh my God, what the fuck is that?" Off, and she like points off to the side. Well, I read on the IMDb that the cameraman was supposed to like pan over and show like really quickly the witch, and it was supposed to be like less than a second. I think that if they would have just shown that, it would have satisfied a lot of people's urge to just see the danger, and it would have felt, I mean, and maybe I was just young and naive when I saw it, but it's like I was so hungry to see that. So I think back then that would have made me like the movie a lot more. Now, I don't think it really matters. I think that I mean the horror market is so completely flooded now with creature features, and they do so much with graphics and practical effects that it's like I don't think it would have impacted me as much now. But when I was a kid, yeah, absolutely.
I hear you. One thing that I noted about watching this movie later, because I saw it in the theater, and then it had been like probably 20 years. I saw it one other time, and then probably 20 years till I just watched it. The thing is, like, we now know what found footage movies are because it created this whole genre, and we've all seen lots more, probably, like Paranormal Activity, Cloverfield, The Scout, Mike Callio's film The Scout. So we've had like decades of seeing movies that have followed in its footsteps. And so now when you go back and watch this, it's like you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I can't be scared by this movie again, or even all that impressed, other than putting it in perspective of, if I take it in the context of, man, this was the first one that even tried this, and it was that long ago. And I remember, like, at the time being impressed in the theater. We saw a double feature, by the way, South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, followed by Blair Witch.
What a companion piece.
But you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like, there was because we have all of this later, it's like, it's never going to hit you the same way again, just because of the type of movie that it is and the fact that they didn't go for anything big at the end. They tried to keep it like as simple and authentic as they could.
Here's my take. Anything that you guys have said are great suggestions, but to me, and it even becomes more clear as we have this conversation, that they should not have shown the witch. Even the suggestion of what I would have added would make it more unrealistic. And that would be like a not a sex scene, but like a love interest type of thing. But even that is not required, because if you watch this for what they intended you to see and for what they wanted it to mean, it doesn't need to show anything to be real. Like, if they showed you the witch, you'd be like, okay, this is fake. You would have said that in the theater. You definitely would. It might have satisfied you as a moviegoer, but in the theater, you would have said, oh, this is fake.
Counterpoint, Dames. They added plenty of sex and nudity into Book of Shadows, and it did not help, sir.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that would have been my suggestion, but even that would have made it unrealistic.
It would be really funny
I think
if
if you're scared to death,
if they set the camera like, okay, we're gonna die. Let's just enjoy this night or whatever here in the woods, and then camera just falls, and then you just hear him yell like and like just the worst sex sound scenes ever, and you don't even see anything. There's no real nudity because the camera kind of starts failing, and you just hear audio of how horrible it's going.
It kind of detracts from like one of my favorite scenes in the movie, after Josh is missing and Mike finds the cigarettes in his bag, and like even if she's like so pissed at him, Heather just goes and like lays her head on his shoulder. I thought that was their like, fuck it, we're gonna die. Let's just be close for a second. And it was like more than sex. They were like intimate with each other for a second. So I really love that scene. I think that making a romantic interest out of either of those characters would have really detracted from it.
Does anybody else have like another or answer to the question of the day? Okay, Jessica, what would you add?
I would say it might have been interesting. I mean, I agree with what you said, Dames, about like this movie and the purpose that it's serving. Like it is, or it was what it needed to be. I think it might have been cool, and I'm wrestling with this a little bit because I like that with Heather's character, she's mainly behind the camera, and then there's that moment when she puts the camera on herself, and because we haven't seen as much of her, it makes that scene really powerful. But also I think part of me wishes there was maybe like a fourth person, maybe either like another female or somebody who had the camera more on Heather. I think that could have been like a cool thing if there was maybe one other person that was around for part of it. So that's all I got.
I can't argue that.
And it's a shame that scene in particular got memed so many times and parodied so many times, because she really is giving it her all in that moment. And if you read some of the like, Arrow Video published a book about the making of the Blair Witch Project a few years ago, and despite my dislike for the movie in some ways, I picked up the book and read it. And I mean, the story behind the making is as interesting as the mythology that they built around it. But yeah, by the end of that, they probably all needed an on-set therapist.
Yeah. I think so. If I were to add anything, it would be more snot in that scene of which you speak. Needed more snot. And 6 to 8 more bags of Utz brand chips peppered throughout, including sea salt and black pepper. It would also, why didn't they have the fried dill pickle ones?
Because that wasn't a thing in 1999.
Bullshit! Pickles existed.
Didn't they have the pretzels too? I think they also had the pretzels, not just the chips.
Somebody brought these to my house, coincidentally, like 2 weeks ago. So I was like, fuck yeah, I was going to have to buy these from Amazon.
Maybe that was the Blair Witch.
I was about to say, have you checked the expiration date? Are they circa 1999 or?
These Vienna sausages are.
Are there tapes in there?
And they're delicious.
I've never had a Vienna sausage. Open that.
No, that's open. It's like opening Pandora's box there. The Vienna sausages.
I don't think I'm going to open the barbecue.
Don't open those. Save those for a war that happens in
43 years. It's like if Spam made hot dogs.
Save them for the next pandemic.
Save it for Starship Troopers, because I'm sure they've probably had to eat this.
Save them for when humans migrate to Mars, because this world is no longer livable, and those will still be fresh.
Who are we kidding? Throw that shit away. They're terrible.
Eat it.
Finally, some advice I can heed.
And anything mechanically separated has got to be bad.
Can you please just eat one on camera?
The whole fucking thing, dude.
I haven't seen it. Oh
my god!
I saw one.
I know a guy who smells like those, so I would never, ever, ever eat those.
Oh, he smells like he's from Austria. What a beautiful city of Vienna. What the hell's going on with the microphone? Who was that? Was that the Blair Witch?
James,
did you
the
hear
Blair Witch
that?
has taken Dames.
Yeah, he's gone.
Who's missing?
She came for her fucking spam.
Who's missing?
She came for her spam. He's done.
You just start screaming Dames into the woods.
Was there a little pile of rocks outside his door this morning?
Is it hilarious that I didn't realize it was my brother and co-host that was the one missing?
I would have to agree.
I just spilled Vienna sausage juice all over my new fucking MacBook.
I don't think that's covered by the warranty, dude.
You guys.
A likely story, yeah.
You guys, are you still there?
Taco.
Do you guys have the map? By the way, who has a fucking map of the woods? Like, where do you even get a map of random woods?
The whole time
Crazy
I was
Ralph.
like, why aren't they just pulling up their Google Maps? I mean, come on.
You get it at Crazy Ralph's gas station right before you go in.
But it was a topographical map too, wasn't it? Didn't it have like the terrain? Like it was an intense map.
Listen, guys.
She-
Heather has dealt with enough abuse. We don't need to be shitting all over her navigation skills too.
When Heather had
She's
it,
taken enough.
the funny thing is when she had it, they were still lost. Like, so the fact that she got like so insanely mad when it was destroyed or purposefully lost.
North is south, south is north. It's all relative.
The car
Okay.
is just a little farther that way.
I changed my answer about what I would add. I would add, so there are a few cool moments in this movie that break up the roughly 35 to 40 minutes of them arguing about being lost. We needed to add about 10 more minutes of cool stuff like that and remove 10 minutes of the arguing about being lost and not fucking doing a thing about it. So the cool things are the sound they hear at night, and then like when they actually like run away from it. Another cool thing was the flannel shirt. They find the piece of it wrapped in bundled twigs. That was cool.
What's in that, by the way?
Same.
Jessica
Is it a
said-
tongue? It looks like a tongue.
I don't know what it was.
I don't
Teeth.
know.
Their teeth.
Generic viscera.
That's
Generic.
with hair.
Something that shouldn't have been removed, probably.
Looks like a micro penis.
I think I'm gonna go.
Oh,
Have
you
you
know what
seen
that
enough
looks like,
to
hey,
know?
James?
I do, Kyle.
I want to.
He sees one every day.
In the
I think
Vienna
my-
sausage.
Yeah.
My new answer would be, I don't want to hear the witch. I mean, I don't want to see the witch as much as I want to hear it at the end. I want to hear some really
Crazy
jarring
ass sound.
The cackling that Josh
Do you want
was
to hear?
talking about.
Yeah. Do you want to hear words, or do you want to
I
hear
would-
sound?
Like
No, I
right before
wanna
she
hear-
drops the camera, I want to hear some kind of like sound, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, like an unearthly, like inhuman scream or something.
A
Yeah.
screech.
Oh man.
I would go like a simple. It doesn't have to be super loud, but like a hiss or something vocally guttural.
If I heard a cackle, I'd shit my pants.
I like cackling. I wouldn't work for me
From all the
because then
Vienna sausage.
I'd go straight to a cartoon and be like, "This is a Popeye cartoon." All of a sudden now,
Like a high pitched shriek.
nothing like
Oh, no.
into the pot, dearie. No, none of that. More like just a or something.
Put it out with your boots, Ted.
Tell me about my business, devil woman.
If she had said, "Get into my pot," the movie would have made like $25, dude. You would have like destroyed the VHS you were given, which
I
if you
would
still
have.
have it is worth a pretty penny, by the way. I bet you.
I still do have it. I still have it because the ending's a little different.
Sell that to fund your next movie.
I'll get
what if it-
$25 for it.
What if it was revealed at the end that Crazy Mary, the lady with the crazy eyes and the Holy Bible, was the witch all the time, and it was just a Scooby-Doo ending?
That's
know
who
what?
I thought it was when I watched it for the first time. I was
The
like, oh,
witch?
she's the Blair Witch, bro.
That would have been,
She has to be.
very tongue in cheek for sure.
The witch should have been that little girl at the beginning that like gets
Those
freaked out
picking
when
her
her mom's
nose on camera.
I was gonna say the reason those kids were getting killed because they were fucking gross and they were eating their boogers
on camera. Can
on
you
camera, and the
can
mom was
you-
like, "Sure."
Can you
nothing up
imagine
there."
that kid today? And then she takes her booger hand and puts it on her mom's mouth too.
She became the mucus queen from Happy Gil or Billy Madison.
I don't know if you know this since you were a young child, Kyle, but Billy Madison predated Blair Witch by several years.
The Blair Witch is nonsensical, and movie timelines are the same thing. Come on.
I guess it did happen. The Blair Witch incident happened in 1994.
She grows quick. Okay.
Okay. I don't think I have any more questions of the day. Now I'm going to put this graphic up, but we don't really have to do it, but just you'll see what it is.
For the memory of a lifetime, recast, recast, recast.
It's a fucking dumb idea to recast this movie.
Just for Mikey.
But if you have one, just raise your hand.
I got one.
We'll start with John.
I would recast Crazy Mary with Crazy Ralph from the first Friday the 13th.
Oh.
It's got a death curse.
I love it. Jessica, I think you raised your hand too.
I was just thinking about like if this movie were made, you know, in modern times, who I would have be Heather. And for some reason, I feel like Jennifer Lawrence would make a really like cool Heather role. Like she could really get the eyes thing going. So I chose her.
Nice. Wouldn't be able to do that on a $60,000 budget today. What about that cost $60,000? Come on, there's no way that movie cost $60,000. Mike's like, I would love to have $60,000 to make that.
Probably the majority.
One person's salary was $58,000.
The equipment and the 16mm film stock. To be honest with you.
Yeah. And also the DAT machine. Did you know he had a DAT? Because he said that like 80,000 times.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the DAT.
How are we going to get the DAT across?
We got to get that back. We got to get that back in 2 days.
Didn't they use? Wasn't most of the equipment borrowed because the guys who directed it were doing videos for Planet Hollywood?
Yeah, you can't borrow film stock though.
They did return the handheld to. They bought it from Circuit City and then took it back after they were done filming.
Sounds about right.
That did happen.
I would recast Heather with this, and this is for Dane, with Jennifer Connelly, because you love her so much.
She would have been able
as
to whine.
She would definitely be as whiny.
The whining would be there, yeah, for sure.
If you guys are recasting her, I want to remake this movie with Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero as the two male characters, and I'll let you all figure out the rest because that would be hilarious.
No.
Oh no, Blair Witch! Oh god.
The actress who played Lisa would be Heather.
That would be I would watch that. That sounds fantastic.
Definitely the Blair Witch.
The funny thing is, it would probably the visuals probably wouldn't change whatsoever.
That's Friends 2.
I went like big budget. If they were to like cast this as like
we know you met Greg Sestero.
I met Greg Sestero last weekend.
Oh, awesome!
Did his beard quit?
He has no beard.
Well, he had a beard before, I thought. This beard might go. I'm going to go with a different agent.
I've never seen him with a beard. Maybe he had one in Best Friends. Kyle probably saw it. I didn't.
You know nothing about denim.
My recast of this movie would be the cast of The Phantom Menace: Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, and Natalie Portman.
Oh, not Hayden Christensen.
No,
Hayden Christensen could be he could be like the voice in the woods.
I'd cast
the booger eating kid.
Booger eating little girl, Hayden Christensen.
old Big Dick Neeson, huh? Good move.
Annalise, who would you have wanted to see in this?
I didn't raise my hand. I don't know.
Well, how about this? What would have made you stop doing cocaine and see this movie back in 1999?
I don't
like
know.
Kiefer Sutherland or something like that.
No, maybe Christian Slater. As Eric, because Eric's was a dick, and Christian Slater could definitely play an asshole.
Okay, yeah, but it's a lost cause trying to cast famous people in 1999 because the whole marketing would have just fell flat. The whole this is real, you guys. Christian Slater really died. Even though, and everything you've been seeing him in, Broken Arrow, was he in that? I don't know.
Oh my God.
Everything you've been seeing him, that was made before he died back in 1994 when he was working on a college friends project.
Yeah, no, recasting this movie totally ruins it for sure. But if we had to go we're talking like 50 times the budget, big time Hollywood movie. I had listening to Josh and his ranting right before he disappeared. It just gave me a very Matthew Lillard vibe, like Matthew Lillard from Scream. There's
shit.
more. Yeah, like I could see Matthew Lillard screaming at everybody.
Plus, he could do the Scooby-Doo ending really well because he's Shaggy.
Exactly. When did Scooby-Doo come out? Like, yeah, I mean, we're rolling into one meta universe. So,
like there's a Blair Witch.
They should have had a Great Dane at the end.
So for Mike, I had Eldon Hansen from Idle Hands. He's because he's kind of chubby and he's kind of like a secondary character, and I thought that he kind of blends right in, and I thought he was lovely in the roles that I've seen him in. And then Heather, straight out of American Pie fame, Allison Hannigan. Because she can play Panic, she can play Bossy. You kind of hate her after listening to her for a few minutes, but she has that charm. It's like you hate her, but in kind of like a little sistery way.
And this one time in the woods.
Yeah, I thought that there would be some amount of stakes with the audience with Hannigan.
Okay, yeah, she was doing what's the movie with Mark Paul Gosselaar on campus with
Big Man on Campus?
Dead Man on Campus. Is that what it was called?
I think it was called Big Man on Campus. Might have been Dead Man.
Dead Man on Campus because their roommate dies or whatever. Allison Hannigan was in that like right around just before American Pie, so she could have freed up time in her schedule to. How long did this even take them to make? By the way, does anybody know?
Wasn't it week the shooting?
6 days. It was shot over 6 days.
Okay.
Wow.
Like my movie.
6 days, but you shot during a pandemic, so it's way more impressive.
It's more badass, yeah, totally.
Okay.
And it's like dog years. You add more time to it because it seems like it took longer because it was during a pandemic.
That's right.
So 12 days.
Right.
Just leading into another scary movie. Cast Anna Faris. Done. There you go. Done.
It's that time where we are going to go around and get everybody's final thoughts and their score between 0 and 100 for the patented cult filmometer. I'm going to start with John Cryer down there in the corner. John Cryer. That's you, John.
That's not what the C stands for, but I'm going to roll with it. So I am of two minds with this one. When I first saw it, I was so disappointed. I felt like I hated the movie. Watching it again recently with a little more distance from it and not being in the middle of the building hype that was part of that experience, I still don't think the movie fully succeeds. There are things that I want from it that I don't get from it. And, I've had this discussion with a couple of people this month about a couple of different films, and it's something that I kind of agree with. I don't necessarily want to go into a movie that I have to do homework for to really get the full experience. And that's kind of what you needed with the Blair Witch Project, between all of the mythology that was laid out on the website and the video games that they had in the works that took place in 3 different eras, and the Sci-Fi Network faux documentary and everything. But you can't deny the impact that this had. I mean, just from a strictly financial standpoint, it was the first movie that knocked Halloween off of being the most, I think it was the most profitable independently made horror movie up until Blair Witch came out. And then it really did kickstart the found footage genre that we still see ripples from today. So I'm of two minds. I can't rate it in good conscience as low as I probably would have in 1999. I think I'm going to rate it higher than I should. I'm going to go with a 75.
75 to start the proceedings. Let's go with Jessica, who saw it yesterday then.
Yeah, well, that was a very, very good summary that you just gave. So, yeah, for me, just coming in watching this, I was very believable. I thought I could see why people got into the marketing. I could see why people believed the storyline, and I think that there's something to be said for that. This movie was scary for me. I went to bed last night and I was like, I'm scared. I don't even know of what because we didn't really see anything, but there's something terrifying, like I said, that sort of feels like a bad dream, a bad nightmare. So I love that aspect of it. I think that this had a major impact on films that came after it. So anytime you have that, you have to elevate your rating because it's just setting a standard that creates, like we said, that ripple effect. So that's pretty cool. I think that the jerkiness and shakiness of the film is something that brings the rating down a little bit for me. And yes, perhaps it would have been nice to have caught a glimpse of something scary, something visual. But I gave this movie an 82%.
Awesome. 82 from Jessica. Let's go with Kyle.
Oh, lovely. So one thing we do in the Munson's world when we study actors is we look at their box office. And part of that box office is trying to figure out what are the bombs, what are the big wins. And up until this point, 48 episodes in, the biggest win we found was the original Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis. That I forget what the budget to actual was, but it was substantially larger than Juno, which was the highest one we had covered before. Holy moly, this movie made over 10,300 times its original budget. Now, you count in like purchasing the film and all those other things, that reduces, but it just goes to show how much of an impact this very, very small budget production made. What's hilarious is that like John in his lead in made it sound like he was going to rank it like real low. And it reminds me of like the relative nature of what low is on the cult filmometer. And I'm only going to give it like a 69. So I probably like it quite a bit, but maybe I'm stingy. I'm always stingy on the cult filmometer.
So you're saying you like 69?
I'll go 70 if you want me to go 70.
No,
I'm going between 68 and 70. So
I don't want you to do anything you don't want to. And remember, the cult filmometer is never wrong. So,
hey,
you disgust me, Hickman.
Very fair score, I believe.
Okay, Gobo.
So, I think that like I said, objectively, for what the movie was trying to accomplish, I think it succeeded very well. And then the ripples of the impact it had on the film industry altogether, I think cannot be denied as well. So when you look at the aspects of a cult film, I think that it scores very well. So I'm going to give it an 85, solid B. Like, I think that, regardless if you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, you cannot deny its impact to the genre.
Absolutely. Okay. Mojo, Murph.
Okay. I feel maybe differently. Okay, definitely differently. I think if you would have asked me however many years ago when it came out, I would feel very differently about the cultability of this film and thinking like, oh, this is going to be a cult classic for forever because of all the hype and because of like what it changed and what it made and all that kind of stuff. But looking back on it, this is not a movie that I see a lot of people being like, yeah, let's go watch Blair Witch. This isn't the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This isn't a lot of other cult films that have that hardcore following that still want to keep watching it and really get into it. The movie just had its time and place, which is weird. I don't feel like that's a norm for most. So I would actually, I'm gonna rate it lower because it's not like, again, thinking strictly on just the cultability, not on what it meant, not on what it made, not on the acting, not on a million other things that I normally would rate a movie on, just on the following that it would get now, watching it now. I'm going to give it 55.
55. Hey, who?
I just love not being the lowest one.
Who did you make
mad?
mad?
Over here. You needed to freeze it for a second, though. There you go.
I'm just gonna remove her real quick.
Well, she already gave her score, so you might as well leave her on.
Did we just become best friends? Because basically everything you said was, I mean, I'm sure we're probably close on time, so I could be like ditto, because I was actually going to give it a 55, but now I'm giving it a 50 because I want to be the lowest.
Why couldn't you just do 54?
Is this the Price is Right? I just feel like I got screwed somehow.
The price is wrong, bitch.
Everything that she said is so pointless. Like it doesn't have that cult. Like it had a cult following for, that short while after it first came out. But like, also to Dane's comment, there's been so many other like the paranormals of the Cloverfields, and it's just they've never really had that Friday the 13th or Halloween kind of following. So like, yeah, I mean, although it was groundbreaking and different at the time, it just doesn't, like, I watched it again last night. I mean, I think I got a little scared, and I was actually surprised I didn't have nightmares because it was like right before bedtime. But I think it was because, again, like it doesn't have that like super scary like gore that I'm used to.
Plus no Muppets.
It did have someone peeing though, which is a Muppet thing. So
Being on Muppet Golden Showers. What content are you watching?
What are you searching?
What content are you watching?
I told you not to tell people publicly about my kinks.
Yeah, you just said peeing the Muppets. You just got us on a very special list, guys.
Jesus Christ, man. Dang.
Mike, rescue us from these 50 scores. Oh, you're muted. Hold on. There you go. Start over. You've been unmuted for 10 minutes.
Hopefully my friend Kirk, who just directed the Muppets Haunted Mansion, wasn't listening to that whole peeing on Muppets thing right now.
I love the Muppets.
He wasn't, because he's too busy peeing on them himself.
I loved it so much.
Bingo. I will let him know you're a fan. I agree with the ladies in a way, but I also, in 2000, I shot a found footage movie. I never got to finish it, but it was very inspiring. I love the fact that it made $1 bajillion and that it was a huge quadruple middle finger to the Hollywood machine. And it's not a rewatchable movie. It really isn't. It's not something you put on. It's something you put on a party if you wanted everyone to leave. Saying that though, I still like the movie because of the Hollywood FU, and it's a very simplistic idea, and it's a very cool idea. I think it could have been improved upon. I saw the recent Blair Witch from a couple years ago. I thought that was better than this movie in particular. But I don't know. It has a little place in my heart because of the big. It's a Hollywood. So I'm going to go with a 90. I'll go 90. Yeah, I'll go 90. Because I still think it still holds the record, doesn't it, for kicking Halloween's ass?
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Nothing's close, I don't think.
Well, how much did Paranormal Activity
I was about to say, I wonder
made?
about that first
Paranormal Activity was pretty close.
Quick, to the internets.
Kyle, we're putting Kyle on that since he does that for the Munsons all the time, while Dames gives his final thoughts.
All right, you guys, this is a cult film in every way, shape, and form. It doesn't have the cult following of a Friday the 13th or a Halloween because there is no Michael Myers. There is no Jason Voorhees.
There's no witch.
That is the only reason those films have the cult following that you wish this film had. One of my favorite things that I ever did was I showed this movie to my daughter when she was 11 with her boyfriend, who she's now moving in with. They were both 11 at the time.
Despite your objections.
Whatever. No, I have no objections. But anyway, and I told them it was real, and they were freaked out about it for like forever.
So yesterday?
Yeah. Well, Em was going to do this episode, but she had a training to do. So thank you to Annalise, I believe, took that spot. Appreciate it. Boy, this movie, I saw it when it was in the theaters. I kept hearing about it on the radio, believe it or not. And I heard people were throwing up coming out of the theater because of I was
Because
like,
it was
I
the
definitely-
John Stank fart face, maybe?
Yeah, I definitely had
Too much popcorn.
So I went in there and I actually pulled up a card, as I often do for CF3, and I let it sit here through the entire episode, and I happened to land on the same score as somebody in here, and I think we've done this before, but I'm on an 82.
It's a doppelgasm. And that's when you're supposed to... Melissa, you came up with the doppelgasm sound, so you're supposed to like do it live since you're here.
I forgot what it was.
Well, that doesn't matter. Make it. Whoa.
What the fuck? Never do that again. No, I'm just kidding.
You can't put me on the spot.
Did you hear that?
I was like, I have my new ringtone.
That's the noise we needed to hear at the end. The attack.
No, I think we needed to hear like zoinks. It's a
It
witch.
kind of was like a cross
It's a
between
witch.
Zoinks and like Shaggy's like. "Rrr."
So Dames has got an 82. Okay. All right. Like I said, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Just like if I'm going to show an episode of The Twilight Zone, like some of my 10 favorite episodes of the original Twilight Zone, I'm going to want to show those to a kid who's never seen things that came after and like knows all the tropes. The Twilight Zone invented a lot of those tropes. You know what I'm saying? Like things that you've seen in movies since are because of that. So if you enjoyed like a Paranormal Activity movie, you enjoyed it because they made the Blair Witch Project. It's harder to find like pinpoint exact movies that profoundly influenced and would not exist without tracing it back to one other movie. And that movie for like movies like Paranormal Activity is Blair Witch Project. So I remember like Paranormal Activity, people fucking screaming their lungs out in the theater. It was a packed house on like a Friday night. And like, that was one of the best movie theater experiences I've ever had. And I wouldn't have had that if not for a movie like The Blair Witch. So going back to watch this, yeah, like there were only like a few moments that affected me in any way. Like Mike says, you would not want to rewatch this very often. Like once every 20 years is fine with me. But I have to put some element of its influence into my score, just like John did. So like a movie that I would normally probably give like a 65, I'm going to have to give it an 84 because of all that it's done.
Remember when I took points away for a movie being kind of rapey? It was like 5 points that I took away. You're adding like how many points for
Rapey versus influencing an entire subgenre of...
I don't know. Rapey seems like that should be a lot of points.
It's not even actually a subgenre of horror because a movie like Project X might not exist. Cloverfield might not have existed, even though that's like arguably horror still. But it's like, it's decidedly different than your Blair Witch or your Paranormal Activity. But it created a whole genre, and that genre is not bound to just being horror movies. So that's fucking crazy.
You see, you're stupid minds. Stupid.
And our score on the patented cult filmometer is a 74.67.
You didn't run the clip.
Oh, I'll do that in post. But
what's the score?
You guys didn't want to fucking sit around for that. 74.67. Where does that leave us?
74.67 puts it just above the aforementioned Twilight Zone, the movie, at 73.25, and Howard the Duck at 74.79.
Which Twilight Zone? The original.
I wasn't
or the
mentioning.
80s?
I wasn't mentioning the movie when I was talking about the Twilight Zone. You dipshit.
Wow.
Okay.
You look like a guy that just came down from space.
Me?
Yeah.
So, I did in the space of 2 days watch all 3 of these goddamn movies. The first one I came away appreciating more than I did the first time I saw it. The second one is still hot garbage, although I've heard tale that a lot of that was like studio interference, and that the director's original cut was a lot different. If that ever surfaces, I'd be willing to give it a chance, but otherwise, I don't need to watch that movie again. I would recommend to everybody here tonight, and everybody watching too, that if they haven't seen, or if they haven't recently seen, Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett's 2016 Blair Witch, that they give it a chance. I think Mike touched on this earlier. I've said it before too. I really think that is the best movie that's been made out of these series. It still has, some of the failings that I think are baked into the material, but it hits a lot of the notes that I felt like the first two were missing.
Well, you don't get extra credit, first of all, for watching the other movies.
No,
you're bad.
I'm a
you're
fucking
bad.
masochist. I'm admitting
You are,
it.
dude. I want to argue this movie all day long, because I just want to say, like Mick Jagger says, you don't always get what you want. And I feel like if you go into a movie, just watch what's presented to you without goddamn expectations, and then just be like, okay.
I'm sorry, Mick who?
What?
Mick Foley.
McLovin.
Mick Foley artist.
From Hawaii.
Mick Foley artist.
Mick D. Mouse.
Did we find out if the Blair Witch is still the #1 top grossing?
Yeah, Kyle.
You put me on the spot for something Craig normally does. I don't ever do this. But what I did find, Paranormal Activity made about 50 million less, but the numbers on production, it says like production was 15 grand versus 60 grand for Blair Witch, but post-production is where it gets complicated, because it says for Blair Witch 200 to 500,000, and it says the 15,000 plus 214 for Paranormal Activity. So I would venture to bet Paranormal Activity has a beat slightly in terms of return, but I don't think it's a big gap.
Plus, those fuckers were only able to get that return because of Blair Witch. All right, let's talk about, before we all sign off, let's talk about what everybody's doing. So, Kyle, start first, and I'm going clockwise after that.
Oh my! Living in the Munson's at the Movies world. We just had Dames on the other day to record episode 48, all about Daryl Hannah, and that launches next Thursday. So check that out. You can find us on Twitter, Munson's at Movies, and Instagram, Munson's at the Movies.
One actor or actress per episode, covered in depth.
Every 2 weeks.
Jessica Hotman. Oh shit, you're muted. Hold on. Let me unmute you. Start over. We're going.
Redo. I came in so hot and heavy. All right. So next month, November 28th, the film Roseblood is dropping. It's a Friday the 13th fan film. And I am playing the character of Tina Shepard, taking on Lar Park Lincoln's classic character and being a younger version of her. I also have a song in the film called New Blood with my new band called Giveth. And we just released an album called Wasteland. I don't know why I wore this shirt, but it just seems like, Wasteland. This is not a Giveth shirt, but this is what you can expect from the record. It's streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp. It's a cinematic, dark pop, industrial rock fusion. So check it out. It's at Giveth Sounds if you're interested.
I listened to the album. It fucking rules. And I want you to make it on vinyl. Colored vinyl.
I might just do that. If there's enough interest, I might just do it.
There's 2 sold.
There's 2. Okay.
There's
All right.
I'll buy 2 copies. Why not? Michael Calio. Mikey.
So I just screened this movie here, The Scout. There's my cheesy movie poster, if you can see it.
I do. See it.
At the Chinese Theater last Thursday to rave reviews, and I just saw that a review on Tom Holland's The Terror Time, theterrortime.com. They just released a review that's pretty damn good. And
Yes.
I was literally expecting my little found footage movie to suck. So, pleasant surprise. I'm wearing an Oingo Boingo t-shirt. That does nothing to do with anything. I she showed off her shirt. I thought I'd show off mine. But that found footage I mentioned, the found footage film I mentioned that I shot in 2000, I just got a little bit of money to finish it.
Whoa.
So I'm making it into a fake true crime documentary. So
true fake crime, or
it's a fake true crime documentary.
fake true crime.
Or I would say a true crime mockumentary, but it's not funny. I'm gonna play it serious and scary. And and then I actually think I'm gearing up to do a Christmas film in December that will be released in 2022.
Like straight up Christmas, like Hallmark style?
No, edgier. I don't get all schmaltzy with the Christmas Hallmark stuff. But
with Bruce?
Mikey, I just wrote a bunch of Christmas music, buddy.
Whew. Good to know. Good to know. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
All right. Well, I want to write a Hallmark style Christmas movie, and it's gonna need a director. So
get going. I'll direct it.
Okay. Annalise, tell us about your podcast and/or YouTube series. No, I'm just kidding.
I have none of those, but thank you.
You do get 10 seconds to say whatever you want, though.
I thoroughly enjoyed my time here. Sorry, I'm not as creative or I don't know. You guys are doing a lot of crazy shit, and I'm having a really hard time at work. And I'm like, do I just say fuck it and just like follow my dream of just making weed edibles and selling them like on the black market? I don't know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's
I'll be your jester.
I'm going through a midlife crisis because
you live in Chicago.
Yeah, I live in Chicago, so yes, exactly. And I have a medical card, so I can get it. But it's actually much cheaper if I just get it from my guy. So, and I'm also not like paying. I'm not actually contributing to, the wealth of these large like fucking companies. But yeah. Anyway, so I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thank you for having me. Maybe I'll be back in a pinch if Damon is like, fuck, we need somebody.
In particular, we need a female personality. Oh my God. Yeah. Love it. Thank you for joining us. You will definitely be back. And then John.
Well, you don't have to feel bad because I have not been doing anything creative either. I have been full on headless chicken mode. I just sold my house that I've lived in for over 22 years, signed all the paperwork and got the money on Monday, and I'm getting ready to close on a brand new house in a state and city I've only been to once. But hopefully by the end of next month, beginning of December, I'll be back in the writing and interviewing saddle. I got an email tonight about a forthcoming movie that somebody wanted me to watch and then interview the director that I'm kind of excited about. So mostly just been taking care of surreal shit, but glad to be here tonight too.
This was surreal. Come on. All right.
Just kind of surreal.
Melissa.
I got nothing. Go see Roseblood.
You just had a movie in the 48-hour film festival, though.
Yeah, but I said that last time, and it's done. It's over.
Okay.
Moved on.
So they destroyed. It went over so well they destroyed the print, and we'll never see it again.
Yeah, basically, in a nutshell. Like,
awesome.
Ooh, Melissa. Ooh,
you can always go back in time and watch her catalog.
That's a long movie.
Watch Trauma. Watch Trauma now. Incest Death Squad 1 and 2.
Incest Death Squad.
Yeah,
Part
Ideas
3.
Rising.
Part 3 is not on there though.
Oh.
I've seen your performances. You're a good actress. Probably even better now. Next, Gobo.
All right, yeah. So check out lunarharpoon.com. We're on YouTube. All of the major social medias. If you're in the Denver area, you can come. We'll be providing press coverage for Denver Fan Expo this weekend, as will Project Nerd. So, we'll definitely have some crossover there. Also, if you collect vintage toys, definitely check out the Toy Box on Facebook. We have live auctions almost every single night. Definitely come and check us out there as well. Those are my plugs. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. And say hi to Iggy and Q. Dames and I will not be at Denver Fan Expo, but you're lucky to be there. It's going to be a great time. There's great guests.
I still want you to fight Shatner for me.
I miss Denver.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, it's
Denver rules.
I cannot say enough wonderful things about my city.
My brother lived there for 25 years, and it was before it was legal in Illinois. It was always like, oh yeah, I get to go see Mike.
I was like medical card. I mean, yeah, you just go to 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it's much easier in Illinois now.
All right. Well, you can catch Dames and I on Project Nerd, CF3 TV, all that stuff. Subscribe. You know what to do. Thank you again, everybody, for your time and for talking Blair Witch with us. This was a really interesting experiment or project, I should say. Wave goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.